Have you ever encountered a hurdle with launching or growing your business? Listen, there are two things that run a business, the back end and your soft skills.
Telling you right now, if these aren't in place, you'll lose clients and you'll lose money. You don't want that? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I'm Dana.
Hey, I'm Sarah.
We're your hosts of the Entrepreneur Encounter, and we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes glance into our businesses, give you genuine feedback, tips and tricks, plus occasionally bring on guests that care about supporting you to grow your business organically and nurturing authentic relationships. Are you ready?
I don't run away from a challenge because I am afraid. Instead, I run towards it because the only way to escape fear is to trample it beneath your foot. I found this quote. I'm not entirely sure who this is from, but I found it very fitting for our podcast episode today. When challenges arise, you may feel as if it's the end of the world. There are some circumstances to which it can be difficult to come back from, but just like the quote reads, why not trample it beneath your foot? We are all faced with challenges and uncertainty, but how can you navigate these challenges?
Welcome back to another episode. We're your hosts, Sarah and Dana, and today we're going to be discussing coping with change and uncertainty. As entrepreneurs, as small business owners, as parents who work outside of the home, there's always change. There's always some level of uncertainty that you're doing something or sometimes feeling everything wrong. So to help us with this discussion and conversation, we have a special guest. Her name is Stephanie Shanks. She is a headshot and portrait photographer. I met with her at the time of this recording, I think a few weeks ago. But listening to her talk and get to where she is today was very inspiring. It also felt very similar to my own. So I'm excited to have her on the podcast and share how she uses her brand to help others, women especially, leap into investing in themselves and following their dreams. So welcome, Stephanie. We're excited to have you today. Can you dive a little bit more into who you are and how you got here?
Sure. I am a portrait and headshot photographer. I own my own business. I'm also a mom. I have 3 kids, twin boys that are 26 now, and a 16-year-old who is just about to get his license. And how I started my business, though, was when my youngest was born. I started taking pictures of him and posting them on Facebook. That was kind of when Facebook was new. And people started asking me to take pictures of their kids and their families. A few years after that, I found myself divorced for the first time. And my twin boys both have disabilities. So I was trying to do everything. I was trying to work full time. I was trying to be a mom to my 3 kids. I was trying to go on all the field trips because with budget cuts and all that stuff, my son, who's in a wheelchair, wasn't able to go unless he had an extra caregiver and he had a vehicle, which of course I'm going to do that. Who wouldn't want their child with disabilities to have every experience that they can? And I was just at my limit. So I took a big leap and decided to quit my job. And I remember telling my boss, I was crying, giving her my 2 weeks notice. And she's like, no, wait, we can figure this out. We can figure this out. And I'm like, no, I can't. I was just emotionally, physically done. And I started a photography business full time, not knowing anything, no marketing skills, no time management skills, no website skills, no sales skills, nothing. And I've grown it to a pretty successful business. And I support myself and my son full time. And that's where we're at today.
That's awesome. I really love that story that you have because everybody has their story. Everybody's going to be faced with some challenge and you got to do it scared. Honestly, it can be scary running a business and taking care of a family. But if you're really passionate about it, there's no limit. You can just keep on doing it. That's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't realize how much of my life I've spent in that stress thing.
Yeah.
But now that I'm 42, I'm trying to back it up. I'm trying to de-stress a little bit because I've always just been gotta go, gotta fight for my kids and myself. And it's hard to recognize when you don't have to do that anymore.
So when I was newly separated, and I was very much in that gotta go, gotta find a job, and gotta find a house. It was like back to back for easily 6 months. And it wasn't until my kids, it was their first time going to their dad's. And like, I was just literally by myself. I hadn't had my daughter yet. So I was in the house by myself for weeks because it was summertime and they were gone for 4 weeks total consecutively. And I finally would text my friends. I've had a group of friends that I've known easily my entire life. And so I texted them. I was like, yo, I am sleeping till like 10 a.m. for the first time ever. And I'm still tired. Like, I don't understand. It's been like this for days. Like, I fully did not recognize. And it was one of them. His name is Gentry. He was like, I think you're depressed and you might need to talk to someone. And that's what fully made me aware that, oh crap, something isn't right. This is not normal for myself. I am one of those annoying people that gets up early in the morning, like the sky is awake, so I'm awake. So that was a big shift and it was a big eye opener. But with the things that you went through, what mindset shifts or practices helped you navigate those uncertainties and that like stress that you carried with you? How did you navigate out of it effectively?
Well, you mentioned friends, and that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 best friends that have been with me through it all, through the first divorce, through second divorce, through moves. And at one point, my ex-husband and I, we sold everything we owned, sold our house, lived in a camper van, traveled for 6 months, ended up in California. Those 2 friends were always the ones I would call. I don't think I could effectively manage anything without the people that support me. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's finding a safe place and finding people that support you. That's the only way I have found in all my struggles. That's the only way I found how to do it. So I love meditation, but I can't have that really quiet meditation if I'm not in a safe place. So it kind of all boils back down to safety and friendship.
Support is definitely something that everybody needs, because as a mom, as a parent, as somebody that's trying to run a business and do all the things, it can be lonely at times. But finding that one person, 2 people, whoever is in your circle to be able to lean on and just like have a conversation, because me personally, having conversations definitely helps me get back into that mindset of like, okay, I can do this. I got this kind of thing.
Yeah, that's so true. That's why I love podcasts and I love talking about the hard stuff, because we're talking about it and you don't know what's going to come up, because once you say something, or it just snowballs, and it can be an amazing experience for everybody.
Yeah, most definitely.
What's been your favorite change, I guess, so far? It might be like a double-edged sword because it is like overcoming. But what do you feel like, even if it was a negative experience, had the most positive impact on your overall resilience?
So resilience is such a good word. For me, it was growing my business to the point where I could leave a really toxic and bad relationship. And I was financially able to get my own apartment, pay my own bills. I've learned how to budget. So growing my business to the point where I'm independent, and then using that independence to learn how to make money, control my money, budget my money, like all of that is super important. It's something I never learned until a few years ago. So my job was always the support job. I was always the supporter. So my business was the filler. And what I gave to my family was my time. And I didn't give it to my business. I didn't give it to me. I gave it to everybody else. So taking that power back.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I like that.
I wish I could just like give everybody a high five right now.
I really like it. Is a high five of giving your time back, not only to yourself, but to your business as side hustlers or other mompreneurs. That's a big thing where your time goes to your family and not always to scaling a business. Even if it is scaling a business that still fits your family dynamic, it still takes some sort of time and effort to grow it.
Yeah. So this common theme that's kind of running through my life with people that I talk to is that as women, we're pretty much willing to sacrifice everything for our kids and our families. And it has to change at some point, because physical illness, mental illness, depression, fibromyalgia, there's so many things that as women we're putting ourselves through. just to take care of our family. And I think the most important shift that I've had to make is putting myself first, because I don't really have anybody else to rely on other than my friends. But as far as being a mom and doing all the mom stuff, I really had to learn how to put myself first. And I really am passionate about that conversation with other women, especially business owners, because that's just a whole nother piece of it.
Attention service-based entrepreneurs, unleash the power of Pinterest with a professionally optimized business account. In case you're new here, my name is Dana, co-host of Entrepreneur Encounter, and I want to be your Pinterest setup specialist. Together, we will tailor your Pinterest presence to your brand and audience, optimize your profile with captivating visuals and descriptions, develop a strategic pinning plan to reach your target audience, and then integrate Pinterest with your other marketing channels so you can repurpose instead of working harder. Then, if you love your Pinterest account setup, I do have ongoing support packages for continued success. So if you've been wanting to unlock Pinterest potential for your wedding planning business, contact me at my website, ddvirtualmanagement.com, and we can get started.
It's really interesting to hear others talk about their stories, because not everybody is going through the same thing, but we all kind of want the same outcome. Like, we all want to be happy. We all want the best for ourselves and this and that. But like, having these conversations and like talking about different perspectives, talking about different ways that you can get to that goal or get to where you want to be, I believe that's, again, like, those conversations are important.
Absolutely. There's no way to even talking about going from who we are to our future selves. Like, there's no way to do that without hard conversations and figuring out our authentic selves.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I love about helping my clients, is because I've been through so much and I've lived in that unknown that, okay, I know I need to give this up because I'm unhappy. I know on the other side of it is happiness or truth or success, whatever you want to call it. But being comfortable in that middle space where you're just kind of free falling, that's like a scary piece. And we've all had to go through it.
For sure.
If we don't go through it, we don't grow. And growth is happiness, I think.
With your photos and like your sessions and things, how do you feel like you help them? Other than the obvious of getting comfortable in their own skin in front of the camera, like an additional behind the scenes actionable strategies or any things that you utilize when you're doing a branding session for another small business owner?
Well, it all starts for me with a phone conversation when I'm booking them. I try to never do text or email booking because I really want to hear where they're at and why do they need a photo session. So if someone's getting a new job or they're starting a new career or they've decided they want to be a speaker or they're writing a book, I want to know all that stuff. So it's probably similar to what you guys do. You want to have a little background story so that when you're working with them, you have a connection. And once you have that connection built, they know they're in a safe place and we can talk about how hard it is or their fears. Then it's just a normal conversation. And I just try to be as real and authentic as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. It takes me back to when a couple years ago, I got some branding photos done. And I was really nervous because I've never done that before, even though like, yeah, I'm going to go take pictures. But my photographer, we had a conversation before the session. She made me feel at ease, like not feel nervous. And when I went in, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just, oh, I'm just going to sit here and you're going to take pictures of me. But she was so into it that it made me have fun. Like, we were like talking about just random things. I know that sounds silly, but having somebody just, okay, like she was asking me questions. So like, what do? You have kids? We're, making that connection. And then it made it go by so much better because in my mind, before I went in, I was saying, okay, I'm going to go take photos and this is going to be boring. But yeah, just having those conversations with your customers is so important. You're building a relationship, you're working with these people.
Yeah. And those photos that I take, that's what's going to help them get to that next level. So I take my job very seriously, but it is really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm a sympathy crier, but I do it to like a maximum. So if somebody's telling me a story and they're not crying, I'm bawling. That happens quite often. Like a song will come on and someone will be like, oh my God, that's my brother's favorite song. He died a year ago. And I knew I was going to hear this song today. And it's like, oh my God, and I'm crying, but they can't even cry because they've got their hair and makeup all done. And But yeah, I love it that people feel, and they'll say something like that. Oh, this may sound silly, but that was my brother's favorite song. It's like, oh my gosh, no, that's important.
Yeah.
Like, you're important. These stories are important. Yeah, I'm glad you had a good experience. That's lovely to hear. I love it.
That's awesome. I'm not one to sit in front of a camera.
Yes.
Like for my wedding photos, I was like, are we done? Can we be done?
I have shot many a wedding, so I understand that. Yeah, totally different experience.
For sure.
I went through my own branding session recently, and I am so uncomfortable with my pictures and anything. And it was an all day situation. Like, I met her at her home studio, got my hair and makeup done. I had 3 outfits to try on and to get through. And it was just going from like one location to the next and trying not to like remember that I'm awkward and talk with my hands. I remember my wedding photos, and my photographer caught all the weird faces that I make and decided to share them. I was like, I didn't even know I made that face. And then I'm like, every time I do a branding session, I'm like, oh my gosh, keep my face together, no funky things. And it was just so ridiculous, but they did turn out good for the most part.
Yeah.
I had to let some of my own insecurities like go out the window and accept that like, okay, these look really good and I can share them with people.
Yeah.
But it was fun to start incorporating things that I really enjoy. So normally when I'm doing business, I keep a lot of my personal stuff out of it. But with this podcast and like my services, I really let my clients and everybody know I'm a nerd. I think that helped a lot with having like, I brought my dice, and that's what I had is like at the desk scene to like feel like home. So I felt a little bit more comfortable.
What is the game?
I'm really into Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
I have not played in years. It's been a very long time, but I watch gamers play. I stream them, and I do like small games with my son, who's 9. We were actually building a character for him like a couple days ago. I don't know where he's going to play because it's not going to be with me.
Yeah, right. You're just like waiting.
I'm not the best storyteller. But I did find locally there's 2 people in my area that are launching like a community event next week. And I'm excited to take him, and like he'll get to play with people that actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I can watch him enjoy all that.
Yeah, my stepkids all got into it, and it was amazing how into it they got. The cards and everything. So
it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So what is your best advice on balancing stability in business while embracing calculated risk, especially as we go into a new year and there's new goals and resolutions that everyone's trying to meet?
I'm actually doing that right now. I'm trying to branch out and do a bigger town. And for me, it's not about the really big steps. It's about little steps. Like nothing has to be done today, but you have to take a little tiny step every day.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's an email or a post, not really a post because that's not really taking a step, but it's connecting with people that are in that area. It's letting people know what you're interested in doing. So for instance, I want to be more in Madison. So I'm doing a mini headshot day at a co-working space. And that's really scary for me to do that.
That's awesome.
Because I had to reach out to the co-working space, and now I have to market it, and I have to hope that people are going to book it. I have to reach a whole new audience. And all that stuff is just like little tiny pieces that are the key to making those calculated risks. I have a friend that she wants to franchise her spa. And she's kind of doing the same thing. Like she's testing markets, she's talking to people, and it's not like she's going to go and rent a space and build a spot. It's like these little tiny pieces, and it's connecting with people that are going to help get you there.
Yeah, for sure. I believe in that, taking the steps to get to the bigger picture of things. Because when you start a business, a lot of people want something to happen overnight.
Yeah.
Which it's not. Like with anything. Obviously, if you want to change something, if you're starting something new, like you said, you have to take those little steps to get there. Like if you make a to-do list, trying to clean the house, like what do you want to do first? So you make a list and you're like, okay, baby steps. Because if you think of the whole thing as one, then that can become very overwhelming. So start with one section, then go on to the next section and go on to the next section. So yeah, baby steps are definitely important to take.
Yeah. And then you can still work on your own business. You can still be present with your kids because you've checked that box. Okay, this is what I had to do today.
Mm-hmm.
Checked it. Now I'm with my kid and we're having a great conversation versus like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And it's like, as long as I know I'm like on the path, and we're always on the path, right? We're always on the path. We just don't realize it.
Exactly.
I'm a big baby step person. That is, I don't dive into much without taking some sort of baby step toe dip first.
Yeah. I used to be a big just dive, just freaking quitting my job and starting a business, quit one job for the next job before the next job was started. That was in my 20s. And gosh, it's a lot of stress. Now it's just like, okay.
Yeah, I did that too.
Never. I never quit a job until I knew I had a job lined up already. I am a craver of security.
Yeah, I'm really learning to appreciate security and what that means for my own well-being.
That's awesome. It's been a great conversation. It's a conversation that should be ongoing. Just having those vulnerable conversations and getting to know each other and seeing where you can help each other. Again, even if it's the smallest thing, if you can help somebody, for your business, for your personal life, we're all about the personal, professional development. And I want to see everybody succeed. I want to see everybody happy.
Me too. Yeah. And I think what you ladies are doing with podcasts is so important because when I am struggling and I don't know which step to take, I go to podcasts because I can hear other people's stories and A, not feel alone, but B, I might gain something from how to get from A to B. So I love what you guys are doing and I'm super happy to be chatting.
Oh, thank you. Stephanie, where can our listeners find you if they want to connect with you?
So I'm on Facebook, Steph Shanks Photography. Also, I have a website, stephshanks.com. That's a good one too to get a hold of me. And I'm available. So just Google me.
Awesome.
I love it.
Well, all of this information will be in the show notes as well as everything else.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Remember, soft skills aren't just some fluffy buzzwords that get thrown around in the corporate world. They're the key to unlocking your full potential as a professional and a human being. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself and seek out opportunities to improve your soft skills. Sarah and I have a variety of workshops, online courses, and complimentary clarity calls for you to practice in real time with us. Links are always in the show notes. And be sure to join us next time for more insights, tips, and tricks to help you succeed in your entrepreneur encounter.